Hey guys, welcome back to Prepping in Progress. I'm Steve, and we're going to talk about George Orwell's 1984 and some things that I witnessed today. We might even get into politics a little. So, more of a thought piece today, not a getting into the preps, because I've got stuff coming to do, and we'll get busy on mylaring, stacking food to the rafters, and building the tiny house very, very shortly. As things progress, you'll know about it. So, for now, let's dig into the topic at hand. George Orwell's book 1984 is a classic. And many people reference it when they're talking about how the world has changed, how society is changing. Many who reference it have not actually read the book. I had read it in high school, but it didn't really stick with me. And I'm going through it again. And the telescreens that have microphones in them and that are always listening are very interesting. We have Alexa, we have smart TVs, we have all these things that are a part of our lives. And, suddenly you'll be talking one day about, well, I really need a new chainsaw. And then Facebook just starts throwing up ads for chainsaws in the sidebar when you never Googled it. And that's what most people reference as Big Brother. Big Brother is listening. Big Brother is watching. But early in the book, the main character, Winston, goes to the movies. And before the movie gets started, they have what he calls 2 minutes of hate. And he describes how the main spokesperson for the anti-establishment comes on and starts to give his rhetoric. And about halfway through the production, the audience erupts into screaming, yelling, pounding their fists. One lady grabs a chair and throws it at the screen and it bounces off. And even he is screaming and yelling. And Winston realizes just how easy it would be for his anger, his hate, to turn upon the other people in the audience. And rather than wanting to smash Goldstein, the man on the screen, he could smash some of the other people in the audience. And as quickly as that thought goes through his head, it's gone. And it's a good thought piece on mob mentality and how people can behave and treat each other. Now, where am I going with this? Well, this morning I was in town about 5:30ish, and I pull up to the Casey's General Store. I needed to get something. And I got out of the car about the same time that another gentleman did, about my age. Maybe a little bit younger, maybe a little bit older. He was someone that I would have called sir, if we were interacting. And he had no mask on. And he started to walk toward the front of the store from his car. And from the opposite end of the store, I mean, we're talking the length of the building, and it's a decent sized store. No mask, no service, comes from one of two employees who are standing at the other end of the building smoking their cigarettes. And I watch as this guy's hand starts to tremor just a little bit. And he kind of looks around sheepishly. Because there are multiple cars in the parking lot. I'm 7 feet behind him, if that. And he takes a deep breath and he yells across the parking lot where everyone at every pump can hear him. Medical exemption. And enters the store. Well, I'm on his heels. He walks in. The lady who's working the register. You have to put a mask on. And apparently he'd been in there before because he looked at her and he said, ma'am, we've had this conversation before. I'm medically exempt. And he proceeds to make his purchase. And as he's standing at the register, a young employee, I would guess between the ages of 22 and 36, probably 28-ish, shaved head, real short hair, walks in. And from 3 feet, as he's walking toward and behind the guy, no mask, no service, as loud as he can. The entire store can hear him. And by this time, the guy's hand that he's got at his side is doing this number. And he goes, medically exempt. And you can just tell he's doing the best he can to keep it together. And the employee continues to run his mouth as he goes back toward the food area. He makes his purchase. His voice goes back to being very soft, very, very friendly. Slides his credit card in, does his thing. And I notice that his hands, as he's trying to get his wallet out, as he's holding his wallet in one hand, putting his card in, the business cards and other things that were in his wallet almost fell out. He was shaking so much. And he gets done, and he looks at the lady and he says, you know, maybe I will wear a mask the next time I come in here. And when I fall out and I get injured, the lawsuit will be glorious. And he pointed at the where the other guy had gone. He said that behavior was unacceptable. And he was right. That behavior was absolutely, positively unacceptable. I used to have a lot of respect for Casey's General Stores and their employees, but the one in Berryville, Arkansas, I don't. Not at all. You know, you don't know if this guy was a vet who got under attack while in mop gear. You don't know if this guy has asthma, COPD. You don't know his medical history, but you do know that he's got a medical condition now. Everyone in that store knows he's got a medical condition. Hate and mob mentality. This behavior in people has become commonplace. And I'm going to take a poke at the president. Remember back during the debates when he was walking behind Hillary as she was trying to speak, almost like a shark circling. Great technique. Great technique. Great presentation. Probably not the fairest thing a guy could pull. You turn it back around on the other side. When BLM and Antifa surround people in cafes and start screaming at them while they're just trying to eat their burger or drink their latte. It's bullying. It's hate. It's treating people in a way that my generation was not taught to behave. I mean, the skinhead that was in there should have, and he may not have been a skinhead. His blonde hair may have just been short. I was more focused on the gentleman and whether he was going to pass out or break down because of the way he was being treated. But the short-haired guy had no business behaving the way he did. At all. Where is human decency? Where is basic respect for our fellow man? There are a lot of preppers out there right now who are thinking that civil unrest will tear this country apart. You know, keep in mind that a while back, Pelosi and company actually suggested splitting the country, you know, and the right-wing states go one way, including the South, and the left-wing states go a different way, which would actually defeat the purpose of the Civil War because we'd suddenly be separated again. But I'm not going in there. I'm not going there. Where I'm going with is behavior. How we treat one another. I don't think the country is ending at this moment with the rattling of sabers and the boom of cannon fire. It's being destroyed by no mask, no service. Being screamed at the top of your lungs. The death of human decency and respect for your fellow man. So be prepared. Because if they're going to do this over a mask, what happens when you don't worship as someone else does? Don't want to give up your freedom stick. Don't want to move into the cities where you're closer to your fellow man. What happens when you stand up for your rights? I fear it's coming, guys. I fear it's coming sooner than we think. And I fear that it may change from no mask, no service to something much, much worse. So keep your heads about you. Powder dry. And faith in your heart. Thanks for being here on Prepping in Progress. I'm Steve.